A bustling high school stadium with vibrant banners, cheering parents, and an electric energy humming through the crowd. It's the state track and field championship, a highly anticipated event for both the school and the community. On the field, athletes are warming up, each one intensely focused on the competition ahead. Among them is Andre Thompson, a 17-year-old with a determined look on his face. Andre, who grew up on the other side of town, stands out not only because of his exceptional speed, but because he's one of the few black athletes on his school's track team. For as long as he can remember, Andre has been a standout athlete, known for his remarkable speed and resilience. Raised by his single mother, Denise, in a modest neighborhood, Andre's path hasn't been easy. Denise works 2 jobs, cleaning offices by day and waiting tables at night, to support them. She's always been Andre's biggest cheerleader, and she instilled in him a strong sense of pride, resilience, and a fierce determination to rise above any obstacles life throws his way. Running became Andre's refuge, a way to release his frustrations and, in his own way, take control of a world that often seemed beyond his grasp. But as Andre's talent blossomed, so did the whispers. His predominantly white school, nestled in a middle-class suburb, saw him as an anomaly, a kid from the wrong side of town, whose athletic prowess both fascinated and unsettled them. While some parents praised his achievements, others looked on with skepticism, whispering that it seemed too good to be true. Andre was all too familiar with these assumptions. From his early days in school, he'd learned to navigate the subtle but unmistakable biases that shaped how others saw him. To them, he was not just Andre, the promising athlete. He was a black kid from a struggling neighborhood, a kid who couldn't possibly be as good as he was without some kind of advantage. In the weeks leading up to the championship, the buzz around Andre's speed reached new heights. Some parents openly questioned how he could compete at such a level, and rumors started to swirl about whether his success was due to something beyond just hard work. These murmurs weren't lost on Andre, but he pushed them aside, focusing instead on his rigorous training regimen. He'd worked tirelessly with his coach, Mr. Peters, to prepare for this moment, and he wasn't about to let anyone take it from him. Coach Peters, a former track star himself, had been Andre's mentor since freshman year. He saw something extraordinary in Andre, the kind of raw talent that only came along once in a decade. From day one, Coach Peters had taken him under his wing, pushing him to hone his skills, build his stamina, and focus his mind. More than just a coach, he became a father figure to Andre, guiding him through the ups and downs of adolescence and reminding him to stay grounded amid the challenges. Coach Peters knew how hard Andre had worked, and he was determined to see him succeed. As race day approached, the weight of everyone's expectations and doubts began to press down on Andre. He could feel the tension in the air, the scrutiny of the parents, the skepticism of his peers. But he also felt something stronger, a deep, burning desire to prove himself, not just to his community, but to himself. Denise, too, felt the pressure mounting. She'd fought for years to give her son a better life, and now, watching him get ready to compete on such a big stage, her heart swelled with pride. She could see the strength in his eyes, the determination that had carried him through countless early mornings and late-night practices. She knew he was ready. On the day of the race, Andre stood at the starting line, his heart pounding as he glanced at the crowd. Among the faces, he could spot his mother, standing proudly, and his coach, giving him a reassuring nod. But he also noticed the skeptical stares, the whispers behind cupped hands, the subtle but piercing gaze of those who questioned his right to be there. As the starter's pistol fired, Andre surged forward, pouring every ounce of his energy into each stride, his only focus on crossing that finish line and proving, once and for all, that he belonged. In that brief moment, Andre was free. He was no longer the kid from the wrong side of town, no longer the subject of rumors or suspicions. He was simply an athlete, running, pushing, striving, with a fierce drive that transcended the boundaries others had placed around him. And for that fleeting, powerful moment, he felt like he was finally in control of his own destiny. After Andre's powerful start, the race only gets tougher. He runs with laser focus, feeling the cheers of his supporters blend with the doubtful stares that follow him like shadows. Andre pushes forward, the rhythm of his feet striking the ground echoing the relentless determination in his heart. It's not just a race. It's his way of proving that he's earned this place, that his speed and dedication are real, regardless of what anyone else believes. Back in the crowd, his mother Denise watches intently, hands clasped tight. She's his rock, his #1 fan, and she knows every ounce of effort Andre has put in to get here. Her mind drifts to the many nights she stayed up after her shifts, waiting to hear the stories of his training, encouraging him to keep going. It wasn't easy raising him alone, especially in a neighborhood where opportunities were scarce and distractions were everywhere. But Andre had never given in to the temptations that pulled others down. Instead, he had always chosen the harder path, spending hours at the track, pushing his limits. Despite his achievements, Andre is often reminded that not everyone sees his success as the product of hard work. At school, he keeps a low profile, knowing his status as a star athlete can be as much a burden as a blessing. His few close friends respect his drive, but others see his focus as arrogance. There's Ben, the team's second-best sprinter, who has always been a little too eager to measure himself against Andre. In casual conversations, Ben has a way of casting doubt on Andre's victories, wondering aloud about his secret and joking that Andre must have some hidden advantage. Coach Peters is one of the few adults at school who truly believes in Andre. He's a no-nonsense coach with a sharp eye for talent, and he has been Andre's anchor during the toughest times. But recently, even Coach Peters has felt pressure. Other parents, especially those with kids on the track team, have approached him with pointed questions. They suggest he's giving Andre special treatment, implying that Andre's training regimen is somehow different. Coach Peters dismisses these claims, but he can feel the tension growing, like a quiet storm gathering in the distance. He knows Andre's talent is real, but he also knows how whispers of unfairness can spiral out of control. He has warned Andre to stay focused, to let his performance speak for itself, but the doubts from others are hard to ignore. With each practice, Andre senses the unease around him deepening. He catches his teammates exchanging glances, hears their murmurs as he crosses the finish line yet again ahead of the pack. What started as admiration has shifted into something colder, and Andre feels it keenly. Every win feels more like a battle. Every training session a test of his will not just to outrun his competitors, but to rise above their assumptions. Outside of school, life is equally challenging. Living in a predominantly black, working-class neighborhood, Andre's success has earned him pride and envy in equal measure. His neighbors see him as a symbol of hope, a kid making it against the odds. But there are also whispers in the community, though of a different kind. People wonder if he's losing touch, if his success will change him, or if he'll abandon the neighborhood once he makes it big. Andre tries to ignore these pressures, focusing only on his training. But a few days before a crucial race, he receives an anonymous message slipped into his locker. It's a typed note, simple but cutting. "We know you're hiding something. Enjoy your wins while you can." The words are chilling, a stark reminder that not everyone is rooting for him. He clutches the note, feeling anger and fear swell inside him. He knows he hasn't cheated, hasn't taken any shortcuts, yet the implication is clear. Someone out there wants to see him fail. This note rattles him, shakes the confidence he's fought so hard to build. He tells no one, not even his mother or Coach Peters. Instead, he trains harder, pushing himself to the limit. He refuses to let the suspicions of others derail him, determined to silence the doubters by proving his worth on the track. Race day finally arrives, but the tension is palpable. As Andre prepares, he can feel the eyes of everyone in the stadium on him, scrutinizing his every move. The race officials keep glancing his way, as if they too have heard the rumors. He steps onto the track, his mind racing, and takes his position. The stadium falls silent, the air thick with anticipation. Andre breathes deeply, blocking out the distractions, focusing solely on the finish line ahead. He tells himself that today, he will leave nothing to chance. Today, he will show them all. The stadium is packed, the air electric with the energy of thousands of spectators who have come to witness this crucial race. Andre steps onto the track, adjusting his stance, feeling the weight of countless eyes fixed on him. He glances at his competitors, each of whom stands in their lane with fierce determination. But Andre knows that this race is about more than speed. It's about vindication, about proving that he deserves to be here without question. As the starting official gives the call, Andre's heart pounds. He can feel a dozen eyes watching him with an unsettling scrutiny, including Coach Peters. Though the coach has been a consistent supporter, even he seems tense, as if the whispers surrounding Andre have started to chip away at his confidence. Andre takes a deep breath, focusing on the track ahead. The starting gun fires, and the runners surge forward. Andre's instincts kick in, his body moving like a machine honed by years of practice. The crowd's roar fades into the background as he narrows his focus on the finish line. Every muscle in his body propels him forward, each stride bringing him closer to the victory he's envisioned countless times. But then, something unexpected happens. Andre hears his name shouted from the sidelines, a harsh voice that distracts him for just a second. He glances over, breaking his rhythm, and spots a familiar face in the crowd. Ben, his teammate, standing with a group of other students who look on with thinly veiled resentment. Their expressions seem to question his legitimacy, as if waiting for him to falter. Andre quickly refocuses, his stride regaining its pace, but the doubt they've planted lingers in the back of his mind. Despite the interruption, Andre crosses the finish line in first place, a clean victory. The crowd erupts, but the celebration feels hollow. As he slows to a stop, the officials approach, their faces unreadable. One of them, a stern-looking woman in a suit, gestures for him to follow her off the track. Andre's stomach sinks as he realizes this is more than a routine check. They lead him to a small, isolated room, and his coach joins shortly after, looking confused but supportive. The official clears her throat, her voice firm as she addresses Andre. "We received an anonymous tip," she says, her tone implying that she's been down this road before. "There are allegations that you've been using performance-enhancing drugs." Andre's heart drops. His mind races as he processes the accusation, feeling a mixture of shock and anger. He knows he's innocent, but the idea that someone would go this far to see him fail shakes him to his core. Coach Peters places a reassuring hand on his shoulder, but even he looks wary, as if uncertain of what to believe. "Look, I'll take any test you want," Andre says, his voice steady but laced with frustration. "I've worked too hard to let anyone take this from me." The official nods, though her expression remains skeptical. "We'll conduct a test. If you're clean, we'll clear your record." Coach Peters leans in, whispering encouragement, but Andre can sense the subtle shift in his coach's demeanor. He can tell that the coach, like everyone else, has begun to doubt. As Andre is escorted to a testing area, he steels himself, determined to prove his innocence. Yet, beneath his resolve, a gnawing fear begins to creep in. What if this stigma never leaves him, even after he's proven innocent? The days that follow are excruciating. While the test results are processed, Andre faces a barrage of rumors and hostility. He notices students whispering behind his back in the hallways, teammates looking away when he enters the room, and even his closest friends keeping their distance. The anonymous accusations have created an air of suspicion that hangs over him like a dark cloud. At home, Denise tries her best to comfort him, but Andre sees the worry etched on her face. She knows what these accusations mean, not just for his athletic career, but for his future. "People don't always want to see the truth, Andre," she tells him, her voice gentle but filled with a lifetime of hard-earned wisdom. "Sometimes, they only see what they want to believe." When the test results come back, they reveal exactly what Andre knew all along. He's clean. The officials clear him of any wrongdoing, but the damage has already been done. The whispers don't stop, the looks don't soften. His innocence is proven, yet the doubts linger, poisoning the triumph he had fought so hard to achieve. As he walks down the hall the next day, a few students mockingly call out, "Guess you're faster without the special help, huh?" Their words sting, each taunt chipping away at his resolve. Andre keeps his head high, but inside, he's torn between anger and despair. He thought proving his innocence would be enough, but he's beginning to understand that for some, no amount of proof will ever be enough. Driven by a renewed determination, Andre pushes himself harder than ever in training, determined to rise above the rumors. He channels his frustration into every sprint, every drill, every lap around the track. His coach watches from the sidelines, both impressed and concerned by Andre's relentless drive. Coach Peters knows that while Andre is a remarkable athlete, no one can carry the weight of the world alone. Just as the season's final race approaches, a prestigious national event that will determine his future, Andre receives an unexpected visit. It's Ben, the same teammate who had questioned his success from the beginning. Ben's expression is unreadable, but he finally breaks the silence. I heard about what happened, he mutters, his voice lacking its usual bravado. Look, I may have been wrong about you. Andre studies Ben's face, feeling a mixture of bitterness and relief. He doesn't need Ben's validation, but the acknowledgement feels like a small step toward healing. People believe what they want to believe, Andre replies quietly, his words carrying the weight of his experience. On the day of the national race, Andre steps onto the track with a newfound clarity. He's here not just to win, but to prove something far greater, that no amount of prejudice or doubt can define who he is. The crowd cheers, but he's no longer focused on their approval. His only goal is to cross the finish line, not to prove his worth to others, but to affirm it for himself. As the gun goes off, Andre runs with a sense of freedom he hasn't felt in a long time. Each step carries him closer to his own truth, a truth he no longer needs others to recognize. And when he crosses the finish line, victory isn't just a medal. It's a reclaiming of his dignity, his worth, and his future. Andre stands at the finish line, chest heaving, hands on his knees, processing what just happened. His victory is undeniable, yet the applause around him feels muted, almost distant. For a moment, he's enveloped in silence, as if the world has stopped. Then he looks up, and he sees Coach Peters, grinning with a mix of pride and relief, waiting to congratulate him. But more importantly, Andre feels a surge of pride within himself, one he hadn't felt in a long time. As he leaves the track, he spots his family in the stands. His mom and sister, Denise, are clapping and cheering, beaming with pride. He waves back, his heart swelling with gratitude. This race wasn't just a physical achievement. It was his chance to reclaim his dignity and prove his resilience. After the race, as Andre walks through the stadium tunnel, he catches sight of a familiar figure leaning against the wall. It's Ben, the teammate who had been one of his harshest critics, the one who never believed he earned his place on the team. For a moment, there's an awkward silence between them. Andre considers walking past, but Ben clears his throat and stops him. Hey man, Ben says, looking down, visibly uncomfortable. I owe you an apology. I didn't believe you before, and I guess I was wrong. You're the real deal. Andre studies Ben's face, searching for any hint of insincerity, but he finds none. Ben looks almost remorseful, as if realizing, maybe for the first time, how deep his assumptions had run. Thanks, Andre says simply, accepting the apology but knowing that forgiveness would take time. I hope next time you'll think twice before judging someone. Ben nods, clearly affected. They share a brief, understanding look before Andre walks away, feeling lighter, as if a weight he'd carried for too long has finally lifted. This acknowledgement, this moment of redemption, is the beginning of something bigger. Andre realizes that he's not just running for himself anymore. He's running to pave the way for those who come after him, those who will face the same struggles, the same doubts, and the same accusations. The next day, Andre returns to school, prepared for whatever might come his way. But instead of the whispers and stares he had grown accustomed to, he's met with respectful nods and congratulatory smiles from classmates and teachers. News of his race and his perseverance has spread. He's no longer the new kid who cheated, but the athlete who proved them all wrong. Weeks later, Andre is sitting with Coach Peters in his office, discussing his future. College recruiters have taken notice of his talent and resilience, and scholarship offers are pouring in. The coach, proud but solemn, places a hand on Andre's shoulder. You're going to go far, Andre. And not just because you're fast, Coach Peters says. You taught us all something about standing up for yourself, about resilience. Remember this. Success isn't just about proving others wrong. It's about staying true to yourself, no matter what. Andre nods, absorbing the words. He understands now that his journey isn't just about winning races. It's about defying expectations, challenging assumptions, and rising above prejudice. As he looks toward his future, he feels a sense of purpose that goes beyond personal ambition. He's running for everyone who's ever been doubted, who's ever faced prejudice, who's ever had to prove their worth. Andre walks out of Coach Peter's office, ready to face whatever challenges come his way. He knows he'll encounter more obstacles, but he's no longer intimidated. He has learned that while the world may try to label him, it's up to him to define who he truly is. As he heads out to the track for another practice, he sees his teammates waiting for him. Some still have lingering doubts, but others have begun to respect him. One by one, they step up to shake his hand, acknowledging his strength and tenacity. In that moment, Andre realizes he's achieved something far greater than any race. He's earned their respect. And with that, he knows he's ready for whatever lies ahead. Andre's journey didn't end at that race. In fact, it was only the beginning of a much larger story. His resilience in facing assumptions and proving his worth began to resonate with more people than he could have imagined. News of his story spread across the school and eventually even beyond his small town, reaching local newspapers, sports blogs, and social media. People were captivated by his strength, by the courage he showed not only in racing but in confronting the deeply ingrained biases he faced from his peers, his coaches, and his own community. In the weeks following his victory, Andre was invited to speak at school assemblies and community events. At first, the idea of standing in front of so many people, sharing his story and the struggles he had faced, terrified him. He wasn't sure if he had the right words to express the complicated mix of emotions he'd felt over the past months. But with encouragement from his family, Coach Peters, and his close friends, he decided to go forward, feeling it was his duty to share his experience so others could learn from it. The first time he stood in front of a crowd, the silence in the room was daunting. He glanced around, his gaze falling on the sea of faces staring up at him with anticipation. Andre took a deep breath and began, recounting the challenges he'd faced, the whispers, the accusations, and the moments when he doubted himself. He spoke about the pain of being judged unfairly and the fire it had ignited in him to prove that he was more than the labels society tried to pin on him. Andre's words carried an authenticity that couldn't be faked. As he spoke, he saw looks of surprise, empathy, and respect on the faces in the crowd. Some of his classmates, even those who had once doubted or criticized him, seemed moved. He talked about the importance of perseverance, of standing up for oneself, and, most importantly, of challenging the biases that lie within us all. When he finished, the room erupted into applause. Not just polite claps, but genuine, heartfelt applause that echoed in his ears long after he left the stage. As he continued sharing his story in different venues, Andre noticed a shift not only in how others saw him but also in how he viewed himself. He started to realize that he wasn't just running for his own goals anymore. He was running to open doors for others, to show that barriers could be broken, that stereotypes could be shattered. The local media took an interest in his story. Journalists interviewed him about his experience, asking about the challenges he had faced and how he had overcome them. His story became a local inspiration, a narrative of courage and resilience that sparked discussions in schools, community centers, and even on local talk shows. People started to talk openly about the issue of racial bias, recognizing that it was something that needed to be addressed. One day, as Andre was leaving a speaking event, a young boy approached him. The boy, who looked to be around 12 years old, had wide eyes and clutched a small notebook in his hands. He looked up at Andre with a mixture of awe and shyness. "Hi, Andre," the boy said, his voice barely a whisper. "I just wanted to say that you're my hero. I want to run like you someday. But people, they say I can't do it because I'm not fast enough. But after hearing your story, I think maybe I can." Andre knelt down to the boy's level, meeting his gaze. "You can do anything you set your mind to," he said gently. "Don't let anyone tell you what you're capable of. The only limits you have are the ones you set for yourself. Keep working hard, and remember that you're stronger than you think." The boy's face lit up, and Andre felt a profound sense of fulfillment. He realized that his journey had given him the power to inspire others, to make a real difference. And as he looked around, he saw other people watching, their faces filled with admiration and respect. He knew then that his story had a purpose beyond his personal achievements. Over the next year, Andre continued to break records and win races, catching the attention of college scouts from top universities across the country. But his athletic success was only part of his story now. He had become a voice for change, an advocate for fairness, equality, and resilience. He was invited to participate in youth programs, where he mentored young athletes, many of whom came from backgrounds similar to his own. He taught them not only how to run faster, but how to stand up for themselves, how to believe in their own potential. When the time came to choose a college, Andre received an offer from one of the country's most prestigious universities, a full athletic scholarship. It was an opportunity he had dreamed of, and yet it was surreal to realize it was finally within his reach. As he walked onto the campus for the first time, he felt a sense of pride and accomplishment that went beyond the personal. He was blazing a trail for others, showing them that their dreams, no matter how ambitious, were achievable. At the university, Andre continued to make waves, not only with his record-breaking performances on the track, but also with his advocacy. He joined student organizations dedicated to racial equity, and he helped lead discussions on inclusion and fairness in sports. His influence extended beyond the athletic community, touching the lives of students, faculty, and staff who looked up to him as a role model and leader. Years later, Andre returned to his hometown, where he was greeted as a local hero. The school gymnasium where he had trained tirelessly was now named in his honor, a testament to the legacy he had created. As he walked through the doors of his old school, he saw young athletes practicing on the track, their faces filled with determination and hope. Some of them were kids who had been inspired by his story, kids who believed in their potential because he had shown them that anything was possible. Reflecting on his journey, Andre realized that his story wasn't just about one race or one victory. It was about breaking down barriers, challenging prejudice, and using his platform to create lasting change. He had learned that true strength wasn't just about physical speed or endurance. It was about the courage to face adversity, to stand up for oneself, and to pave the way for others. As he left the gymnasium, Andre looked back one last time, his heart full of gratitude and pride. He knew that his journey had come full circle, but he also understood that the impact of his story would continue to ripple through the lives of others, inspiring generations to come. And with that, he walked away, knowing that he had achieved not just personal success, but a legacy of resilience, equality, and hope.